Alright, what's up, Kemurite fam? It's Retsu right here, and today we will be just going over some foundations, some little tiny things that we're going to be using to build on for the rest of the dojo. So, first couple things, just etiquette. We're online, we're on Discord, so I mean, it's not much. Just if you ever do like a video lesson with me, just know I bow in and I bow out. That's just a way to do it. If we ever do like video lessons, just know we check all the bullshit at the door. We don't do any kind of like substances or anything while we're in these training sessions, and we do treat it like it's physical training. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it's a martial art. Goodness gracious, it's not make believe, and we're not LARPing. So a couple of things we're going to go over today are, first and foremost, our foundations as far as how to build our stance, and secondly, what we do once we're in our stances. Like, we're going to include the jutsu and the do part for the all of this. So without further ado, let's talk about stances. Let me stand back enough so you guys can see. There's my cat. He's being a cat. All right. So from right here, we're going to talk about what is called attention. You can see my feet. My hands are by my side. Both of my feet are together, like my toes together. And I'm not totally locked out at the knees. I just have a little bit of bend to them. I'm actually sort of seated as if I was in some like weird elongated chair, right? My hands are by my side and I'm just up, right? Now, when my eyes are up and looking out, I'm trying to like just envision looking off into the distance, and this is what we call our bearing, right? So whenever you're at attention, you want to have good bearing. You don't even really want to move your eyes. You want to focus solely on listening. Okay, cool. Now, from there, we can talk about the different stances that we have. So we're going to be working out of two, I should say, well, it'll be more than two, but for right now, we'll work on two different styles of stances. One will be a traditional stance. The other will be a sporty stance. I'll call it sports stance, even though it's just modern. So traditional and modern, that's a good way to put it. So they're both the same kind of thing, but they have different principles and they look very similar. But again, traditional versus modern, that's going to be a philosophical thing to talk about. But so from right here, to get into our first traditional stance, we're going to call this one a horse stance, a horse riding stance. We're going to take our feet and we're going to kind of try and splay our toes apart. I'm not sure if you can see it, but my toes go like this, right? Then I take my toes, I go up on those, like the balls of my feet, right? And then I move my heels out, boom, like this, so that now I can kind of collapse like this. Finally, we want to turn our feet out once more so that they're just slightly past shoulder width. And we actually want to turn them in, right? So that I'm like I'm on skis. Now, from right here, we pull our hands back into what is known as a chamber, and we drop our stance. Now, when I drop my stance, I don't want to do this number, right? I want to drop, right? So I want to get my back pushed out, my stomach, everything, my shoulders come back. I'm right here. I maintain bearing, boom. So from right here, let me do it again, just to show it in full motion. So I'm right here. I'm just going to do it with my hands to show. 1, 2, 3, 4, chamber, right? And you can sink and pull into the chamber at the same time. Now, before we move on, let's talk about fists, right? Because we're going to be making fists in our chamber. And we call it, we'll get into why it's called a chamber too. But let's talk about how to make a fist, right? Everyone knows, okay, I ball up my hands and I make a fist. Yeah, that's a fist, okay? That's not a true fist, right? So you have multiple digits, right, on your finger. It's not just like you have a finger and that is a digit. You have 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit, right? So you want to make sure all of those digits are collapsed. So the first thing you want to do is take your hands and put them like this. Make sure they're nice and tight. And then you want to lock them. You want to come down again. And then you want to seal them with your thumbs, right? Nice and tight. And if they're made like this, you don't even really have to focus on holding them, right? They're just boom, ready to go. It's like it would take more work for me to undo my fist than it would for me to actually, you know, I'd have to hurt my fist to undo it, right? I'd have to really like try and let go, to let go. As opposed to when I'm like this, it can just slip. It can slip and collapse and all that stuff. So it's part of what we're doing here. All right, anyway, back to our stances. So we're right here. We're in a horse stance. We make our fists. Boom. Now our first goal, would be something like holding this for 5 minutes, right? Simple as that. You want to try and build up leg strength, root to the ground, and all of that. That's what we use this one for. It's a leg strength building. It's an endurance building mechanism. A lot of these stances, even if you see them, you know, kind of sideways, a lot of the traditional stances you'll see are going to be lower. You know, it's meant to build up a leg strength as a training tool. Now, when we talk about our sparring stances or our modern stances, we're going to be a little bit more upright with it, right? So right here, we're going to do the same kind of thing as before, but we're actually going to do it sideways, right? And then we're going to modify it a bit to turn it into like what most people call a normal stance, right? So with this, I'm right here. I'm actually going to take, and instead of doing all the boom, 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 I'm going to be right here, and I'm going to, remember, this is just a training tool right now. We'll talk about actual application in a bit. But I'm actually going to try and jump, bring my knees up as high as I can, right? And then land in this stance, right? So it'll look like this. Ready? 1, 2. Right? So I'm like that, right? I come up as high as I can into the stance, right? And it helps if you got hard ground, wear some tennis shoes. If you have those mats, even better. So again, you're doing the same thing. You're trying to get into that stance, but you're just doing it really explosively. So it's almost like a box jump, right? I almost want to, you know, or, sorry, that was a terrible box jump. You know, like that, right? The only difference is that instead of landing in the same spot, I'm going to land with my feet apart. Right? One more time, landing with the feet apart. Like that. Now that'll put me in something like this if I was to turn my head sideways, right? Turn my head sideways, right here. Now that's what we call a bladed fighting stance, right? I'm up here, I'm light on my feet, I'm winded because I just did all that jumping. But I'm right here, and this is a bladed stance. You see, we call it a blade because my body ends up shaped narrowly, right? I give less of a target for the forward movement of all of that. Whew, man, I am out of shape, guys. I gotta do something about that. So, now we're gonna marry that with what we call more modern. To turn this from not bladed to more of a forward facing stance. And that's all I'm doing right there, is I'm taking my feet and I'm turning this heel and moving it out a little bit. And this one comes out as well. So I'm right here. I want to be on the balls of my feet, or at least on one foot, right? One of them, at least one of them is going to be a spring. You know, you want to be able to move back and forth. You don't have to do the whole bouncing thing, right? Where, man, that hurts her. Yeah. So we're right here. Or if you're a girl, I guess that could hurt your, yep. So we're right here and moving back and forth. Nice, good, solid stance. If I want to change, it's as simple as doing that, right? Moving my feet, just barely hopping up and turning, right? I can even practice that as a drill, right? Boom, boom. Trying to practice as much as I can. Boom, boom, right? Practice just switching, right? And then switching again. But yeah, so those are the two things you should worry about before anything else, is making sure you have a solid foundation on your stances, making sure you have a solid foundation on, basically, yeah. So, your stances. Sorry, this might get a little bit out there, but I'm going to give you guys a little allegory real quick. I'm going to sit down. Oh. So, like, imagine your fighting stance is like a house, right? And if you build that house on a foundation of something like sand, then it's not going to be as stable and it's just going to fall down, right? So what's very important is that whenever you are building these stances, whenever you're building these, that you drill in exactly how, like, you want it to be ingrained in you, right? To the point where you are a piece of sand, right? But it's like your piece of sand's like the whole planet. And it's a solid piece of sand that you can build everything else up on, right? So just something to think about, and hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. If you got any questions, DM me or ask openly. That's even better. That way I can answer for everybody else who may have the same question. This has been Ritsu. Kazan Kage? I like Chief of Kemurite, whatever. And, oh, thanks. See you guys.